Welcome to The Simple Fix. Today we are here to talk about the neutral spine. Now, if you're someone who does Pilates or has needed to do any form of rehabilitation exercise around the spine, then it's likely you are familiar with the term neutral spine. But what is our neutral spine? How do we find it? Why is it important? And how do we make sure that we are working towards supporting a neutral spine through any movement we do? Today, myself and my assistant, Benita, are going to explain a neutral spine to you so that you can understand how to find your neutral spine, how to maintain your neutral spine, and how to ensure you are always working effectively and safely. Let's start with some basic spine education. Now, our spine is made out of different sections. We have the cervical spine, otherwise known as the neck. We have the thoracic spine, otherwise known as the rib cage, okay? And then we have the lumbar spine, our lower back. And this is where most people run into trouble. This is where most people get injured. They slip or bulge discs. This is the problem area. And then we have our tailbone, our sacrum, which is all fused together within our pelvis. Now, the first thing I want you to understand is that your pelvis forms part of your spine. Your sacrum is completely embedded within your pelvis. So it's good to think of your pelvis and your spine as the same thing, especially when trying to find your neutral position. So if I'm lying on my back and I start to move my pelvis to find my neutral spine, like that, by moving my pelvis, I am actually changing the shape of my spine. So that's why it's a really good thing to understand that where your pelvis is going to influence where your spine is. It's going to influence the position of your spine. Let's have a look at our skeleton. This is my lovely assistant, Benita, and she is going to be helping us out with today's video. So if you look at this model of a skeleton, side on, you can see the natural curves of the spine. The cervical spine, the thoracic spine, the lumbar, and the sacrum. And you'll see it kind of makes a continuous wave. Now, the first thing I want you to understand is that your spine is going to look different to the person next to you. We work off what we call a perfect neutral, but the perfect neutral is going to be completely unique to your spine. But we do want to see this curve at the cervical. We want to understand that there's the thoracic and the lumbar and the sacrum. Now, reminder that the sacrum, the tailbone, is fully infused with the pelvis. So we're going to think about it as the same thing. The easiest place to find your neutral spine is lying on your back. So we're going to lie down onto your back, and there are three main anchor points I want you to think about. Anchor point number one is going to be the back of your head, the back of your skull. You want to feel that really heavy into the floor. Anchor point number two is going to be your rib cage, okay? So when we say rib cage, we're thinking mid-back. We're thinking where your bra strap would be if you wear bras. We're thinking just underneath the shoulder blades if you don't wear bras. We're thinking at about the part of your rib cage that juts out the most, okay? And the next thing we're thinking about is that tailbone. Now, if those 3 points are your anchor points and they are heavy onto the mat, there are a few things I want you to notice. Number one, the cue of pushing your lower back into the mat is absolutely incorrect. If we are in this nice neutral spine, naturally the lower back will not be touching the floor, okay? The moment you contract and press that lower back into the floor, you are putting the spine under a lot of pressure. You are exposing those discs. So that is not something we want you to do. So again, we've got back of the head, we've got back of the rib cage, and we've got the tailbone heavy into the floor. Once you have found that, you are likely quite close to your neutral. Now, we then start talking about an abdominal connection, and this can be confused for pressing that lower back into the floor, okay? We do not want your abs to crunch and move your spine. What we do want from your abdominals is to maintain this neutral. Your goal in terms of core strength is to be able to move your limbs, your arms, your legs under load without affecting the neutral spine. And what keeps the spine neutral? Your abdominals. So yes, core strength is all about the muscles of the trunk, but what are they actually doing? They are not changing shape of the spine at any point. They are holding the spine in place. So I hope you understand how to find your true neutral using those 3 anchor points. Something I want to point out to you is that you can use that same cueing to find your neutral spine in a 4-point position as well. So if I flip Benita over and you imagine that her hands and legs are down onto the floor in a tabletop or even in a plank, she's going to be using the exact same cues: back of the head, back of the ribs, and the tailbone to find her neutral. So to put what we saw Benita do on a human, I'm going to be lying down and I'm going to be thinking about the back of my head being nice and heavy, the back of my ribs being nice and heavy, and then my tailbone being heavy as well. And naturally I have a lordotic curve because my neutral spine has a lordotic curve, and so I am not touching the mat. Now that I have found that, I want to be able to move my limbs, meaning my legs, meaning my arms, without affecting that shape, okay? So yes, it is going to require a bit of sensation and activation through my abdominals as the leg comes up, because the leg is heavy. And if the leg is heavy and I don't have some brace, I lift that leg, it's going to pull my spine out of its neutral. So I find that neutral and I activate only enough to maintain that neutral while I am loading with my limbs. So it's always important to understand, why is the core activating? It is not activating to push my spine into the ground. Do you see how my whole spine has to change shape then? We're not trying to do that. We're trying to find that neutral, maintain that neutral, and then challenge that neutral with the weight of the limbs. When you're exploring finding your neutral spine, make sure you try it in a few different orientations. So lying on your back is one of the simplest ways to find it, but remember that you can also work on finding it on all fours, ensuring that the back of the head, the back of the ribs, and the tailbone line up as best they can. You also want to make sure that you find this position in any of your side lying work as well as your standing work. You are always wanting to know, where is my spine in space? Once you know where your spine is, your core can activate correctly and you can stay safe, strong, and effective. Make sure you check out the following video on why rib cage placement is so detrimental to finding and maintaining your neutral. My name is Kerryn. Make sure you like and subscribe to The Simple Fix, and we'll see you soon.